Grey County.
Welcome to Grey County Life at Home. I'm your host today, Mary Jane Murray, and Rhonda is off today, and we are looking forward to her being back next week. There are a lot of things that are happening in February, and it's a very busy month. And we have been talking about Black History Month, as well as it being Canadian history. And I checked out the Grey Roots Black History exhibit. It's an online exhibit. And I found this incredible story about Mary Taylor. Now, she was born in slavery. And in her youth, she ran away and probably used the Underground Railroad in order to get herself to freedom, and then settled in Owen Sound. But what is particularly inspiring about Mary Taylor is that she never let the cruelty of slavery overwhelm her spirit. And while she was in Owen Sound, she was always noted for smiling and being of good humor and a good sense of humor. She also started her own little business and set up in the market square right here in Owen Sound, selling fruits and vegetables. And as with most women of color, men of color, and those running away from slavery, they founded comfort in the British Methodist Episcopal Church that was set up here in Owen Sound. Now, one of the things that I am always in awe of when I read these stories is how their spirit is never squashed through adversity. And I always learn something about this and feel that their stories are so important that we need to read them and hear them many times over. Please check out the Grey Roots Black History online exhibit. And also as updates, as we usually do at this time, and I'm missing Rhonda terribly right now, the City of Owen Sound is looking for engaging talent for their Harbor Night concert series. Now, if you're an engaging talent, please hurry up and contact events@owensound.ca because the deadline is March 1st, and that's fast approaching. Also coming up, as February is always a very busy month, so is March. And with March coming up, we have the International Women's Day event, and they host that through the Women's Center of Grey Bruce. And this year, the online event is going to be held on Mother's Day weekend. However, the fundraising auction starts March 1st and closes on March 8th. So if you are wanting to support the Women's Center Grey Bruce, go to womencenter.org/auction to place your bid. And also coming up in March is Pi Day. Now, pi, P-I, is the numerical equation, and pi, P-I-E, is let's eat. And this is a fundraiser through the United Way, and the pies are baked through O'Share and Fresh Roots. The pies are $20, and we know they're delicious. Now, if you're not a pie eater, you also have the option of running 3 3.14 miles. Now, for me, I'm the pie eater. But for folks who are the runners, you have the opportunity to register for $25 to run the 3.14 miles as part of the fundraising event. Oh, and did I mention that the pies are $20? So this is really important to support O'Share and Fresh Roots for all the good things that they do in our community. We also have just a brief mention about Jean Mason and her upcoming milestone birthday. She's 105 years. Congratulations. Jean, she is a resident of seniors of Seasons retirement communities here in Owen Sound, and what a milestone. Now, Mayford is hosting their Random Acts of Kindness, and various communities set up the Random Acts of Kindness in different days and different times of the year. But I think really it's really important that we remember the Random Acts of Kindness throughout the year. And the past 2 years have been really difficult. And most of us are very frustrated. And yes, there are times when even I lose my cool, that I should always remember to be kind. And the Random Acts of Kindness may be set for a date and a month in the various communities. But if we are doing it continually throughout the year, then we are really supporting our community and helping each other get through this difficult time. So those are my updates for this episode on Grey County Life at Home. But we do have some really interesting guests coming up in our next section. And of course, every time that we have the Owen Sound Little Theater as part of our guests, then we are always in for a treat. So stay tuned and join us for our next segment with the Owen Sound Little Theater.
This program is brought to you by OHL Action Pack. Looking to see tomorrow's stars today? Follow the teams and players you want to watch. OHL Action Pack is part of the Rogers Super Sports Pack.
I'm Nicole Martin, the proud ambassador for the Comfort Bear program. Comfort Bears provide these cuddly bears to local children who are terminally ill, facing trauma, or battling a serious illness. Every $20 donation will place a Comfort Bear into the loving arms of a child involved in our program. It is our hope to distribute 1,000 bears in 2022. Please join us and provide comfort to kids in their time of need.
He fell.
Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Veer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Oh, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Focus better.
Partner better.
Sleep better.
Breathe better.
Love better. Work better. Friend better. Unwind better.
Everything gets better when you get active.
Welcome back to Grey County Life at Home. And it's always a pleasure for me to be talking with the folks from the Owen Sound Little Theater. And we have today Marcia Cunningham, who is the executive director. We also have Val Underwood, who is the director of the current play, and Rick Twining, who is an actor, and Debbie Morris, who is also an actor. And we're going to start with Val and talking about how do you choose a play and when you decide you want to be the director of that play.
Well, you choose a play by reading lots and watching lots and just getting involved in plays in general. This one was sent to us by the playwright. He is a Canadian playwright, and he sent it to the group to ask if we would consider it. And as I was reading it, I was laughing constantly and thought, this is a play I would like to bring to life. And that's the start of it.
Well, I should have known, actually, with the title being Red Plaid Shirts, because that is just so Canadian.
Yes, it is. And it's a large part of the plot, but not the entire plot. It does flit in and out of the scenes, and it becomes a part of a focal point. But it is a fun thing to get into as well. We've had a lot of response with red plaid masks and red plaid sweaters and red plaid scarves and all kinds of red plaid stuff besides shirts.
So Val, this was a play that struck your funny bone and felt that you wanted to be the director for it. And then you go through a process of selecting the talent that is going to be the actors on the program.
And that's, I think, the most difficult part. We have at OSLT a huge pool of incredibly talented actors. So selecting the right one becomes very difficult. We had 2 nights of auditions back in September, and we were fortunate enough to get some very talented people audition. And then it was a really difficult choice picking the ones that eventually were picked. And they have proven my faith in them, that they are perfect for the parts.
Well, I've seen both Debbie and Rick many times before, but they've always been in character. And Debbie, tell us a little bit about your character and how you become that character.
All right. Well, Deb is a recently retired woman. Her kids have grown up and everything, and it's just the 2 of them now by themselves in the house, and he's home all the time, and he's kind of driving her crazy. You know, it wasn't that hard to get into the role because I am at that point in my life myself. So it actually was quite easy to get into the role, and it has helped me go through a lot of the change involved when you leave the workforce and become retired. So it's been a very interesting little trip.
So you're really drawing on some of your real life experiences.
Yes and no, but I have to also become Deb. So I try to leave Debbie behind. And that's why you say I'm nervous right now, but I'm never nervous on stage because I'm not me. So yeah, I have to get into her feelings and her emotions, and it's some of them are pretty strong and pretty powerful, and yeah, I feel them. I feel her emotions. So it's.
I've often watched a number of the plays. And you can see how people are transformed into that character because it's a smaller community, and I've known so many of the actors over the years, but it's always inspiring to see how well they do and how talented they are. So Deb, that is a real credit to you and the work that you do on stage.
Thank you.
And Rick, tell us a little bit about your character. One of the things that Val said was that she laughed all the way through reading the script.
Yeah. So yeah, when I first read the script, I was laughing out loud in the chair. There are just so many lines that are real life that I found. And so my character is Marty. He's a retired English teacher. And he, like in our household, he retired after his wife, which is exactly what happened in our household. And he has some problems trying to get into the role of being retired. I get the feeling he really enjoyed his job as a teacher, which makes it even tougher on him. He doesn't get to see his students anymore. And because of that, he makes a few silly moves in his life and doesn't treat Deb with the love that he has for her right off the bat, and needs to be reined in a couple of times. So it was quite the journey. Like Val said, we auditioned in September and we've been rehearsing since October. And when you first start, you're reading the lines. But as you work with the fellow cast members and you see their idiosyncrasies come out, you're able to build on that yourself. And that's how you become the character within the cast.
Well, as you're talking about the sort of the premise of Red Plaid Shirts, I'm thinking there are so many people in the audience who would be able to identify so closely with what's happening. We do seem to be in sort of an older population, and when just having that experience myself with my husband and I in that juggling that retirement dance that you have to do that's very different from your work life when you're both at home. So not only are you as a real person, Rick and Deb, experiencing that, now it's your characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are going to be people in the audience that are going to say that's me. Yeah, I know exactly what he's going through. I know exactly what she's going through. Absolutely, it's so easy to relate to with the audience we get.
Well, the other thing about this is it's humor. It's funny, and if we can identify within ourselves. Sometimes we take it too seriously, and you are bringing light and laughter to a situation that we're trying to navigate.
If I can jump in, one of my favorite lines in the play is our character Gladys is talking to her husband, Fred, and she said, "I married you for better or worse, for richer or poorer. Nobody said anything about 24/7. And it's just one of those little lines that hits home and tickles your funny bone, and it just is so, it's very touching. So just a little bit of humor there that won't give anything. And the fact that Marty decides he'd like to buy a motorcycle, which is why we have the Harley in the lobby.
Now, Rick, is this your motorcycle or is this a prop?
No, this is one of our sponsors. Thanks to Marcia, she went to the company in Shallow Lake, I believe it is, and they brought in one of their Harley Davidsons. They became a sponsor of the show, and it's parked in the lobby now, and people can't hop on it like bat out of hell. It's going to be fun to see.
It's also a reflection of what so many people do when they retire. The first thing they think about is getting a motorcycle.
Exactly. Now I'm a little different. When we retired, when I finally retired, we went down to a single car. So I have told my wife that I'm buying a scooter, which is not what Marty wants at all. But
Well, I think the audience is in for a really good laugh. And this is exactly the perfect timing for this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's so, we are so ready to have the audience there. It's so much fun doing a comedy because when you hear the audience enjoying themselves, you feed off their energy and they feed off yours. And it's just, that's why comedies are one of my favorite genres to do on stage. And yeah, you're right. People need to laugh right now and forget about all the silliness going on in the world and just come out and then enjoy a funny, poignant story.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's something that most of us can identify with, but I think there might be some lessons learned. I always feel coming away from the productions that not only is it a production or an entertainment, but there's always some little messages hidden in there somewhere. And Val, I think your script may be doing that.
It does. It teaches it, or it gives the message to be to listen to your partner, whatever your state of your partner, to listen to them, put yourself in their place, try and understand how they're feeling. And both these couples still love each other very much. So for all the differences and the bantering and the quips back and forth, there is loving underneath, and it does have a happy ending. And I think that's kind of a message of hope for people as well.
Well, I think we need as many messages of hope as we can possibly have. And even though we may be sort of easing out of the situations that we've been in for the past 2 years, live theater just brings this vibrancy to our community.
Yes, yeah. we're all nodding. But the feeling that you get with live theater is so much stronger than a movie or a video. We're very pleased that we are able to stream this, but it's not the same as having that energy that you feel both from the actors to the audience, and as Rick said, to the audience feeding back to the actors. You can't beat it. There's nothing else like it in the world, and it's a good thing.
It's like a dance when the audience starts to laugh, and then you kind of have to hold back your lines, and then you're really working with the audience and their laughter. And when you come in, it's I can't even describe how it's the most amazing dance, isn't it? Hey?
Yeah.
That is a wonderful summary, Deb. But what I wanted to do is give Marcia a chance here to talk about some messages that she wants to put forward as well. And Marcia has been very patient. So Marcia, what do you have information for us now?
Sure. So we are so excited to be reopening the theater, as you can hear from these folks. And so the play does run from February 17th to the 19th, and then the 23rd to the 26th. And I just wanted to go through some of the COVID protocols because we've been getting a lot of phone calls, and with the constant changes, I just want to lay the record straight so that folks know what to expect here at the theater and what we're doing to keep people safe. So the theater is currently at 50% capacity, and we've put in place a socially distanced seating plan. And so that means that there will be an empty ticket on either side of any group. Masks are required 100% of the time right now in the Roxy Theater. Our bar is closed. We are doing the ticket checking and the COVID checking outside of the theater so that once you enter the theater, you are free to head to your seats. As per the provincial regulations, at this time, the proof of COVID vaccination with a valid QR code is required, and that can be printed on paper, or the patron can have that image on their phone screen. And then they also need corresponding ID to match the QR code. We, as Val mentioned, we're also offering this as a virtual performance. And so on the second night of the live performance, we have some amazing equipment in the theater that we received with a grant from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. And so we will be filming the second evening, and that will be available as of Saturday midday to folks who are unable to make it into the theater, or I know some of the actors have relatives who live far, far away and who can't make it into the theater. And so while the most ideal place to watch the play from is in the Roxy Theater, we are doing our very best through our virtual experience to make to meet people at home if that's where they need to be. And so the tickets for that are just $20. And we also think that we might find that some patrons who are in and love the show might want to go home and watch it again. And so for those patrons, we're giving them a 10% discount on the virtual show. So we're very excited about that. You had asked me earlier about if people had to pre-register for their tickets. And so at this point, the box office is open. People can come into the theater to purchase their tickets. They can phone, or they can do it online at roxytheater.ca and call the theater if they have any questions whatsoever.
Well, one of the things that I always truly appreciate about the Roxy Theater and the Owen Sound Little Theater is that you are going ahead and bringing joy to our community. We're going to have some belly laughs. We're going to have a good evening, and we're going to know that we're going to be safe. And all the protocols that you put in place are things that are manageable for us to overcome and just abide by, and let's do it, because I want to be in the seat and I want to have a good laugh, because I'm really looking forward to that. And so what are the costs of the regular tickets? Because you said that the virtual ones were $20. So what is the cost of the regular ticket?
So a regular adult ticket is $25. A regular senior ticket is $23, and a youth ticket is $23.
Okay, and this sounds to be like a play that is for everyone.
Definitely, definitely.
So those folks who are not retired yet, but might be thinking of retiring in a few years, are going to get a highlight of what it's like, and to bring some humor and some fun to the situation before they actually get there.
Well, I'm bringing my husband so he can have a little peek through the window as to what our future lives are like. We're not there yet, but I've already got the motorbike, and that's the direction we're heading. So I did want to give a shout out, if I could as well, though, to our show sponsors. Val mentioned that we had the motorbike from Rick mentioned GT Cycle is one of our sponsors, and they are in Shallow Lake. And also Wanda Westover is a local realtor.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're gonna figure it out.
Will you join us? Together we can make Canada a better place.
Hello everyone, your host Antoine Hashim here on the couch, and welcome to season 8. Yay! 8 seasons, and we've got a lot of awesome guests coming up, so keep watching.
Welcome back to Great County Life at Home. We had quite a lot of fun talking to the folks from the Owen Sound Little Theater. And just before I introduce our next guest, I just wanted to review the sponsors for the Owen Sound Little Theater. And of course, the season sponsors are Tamming Law, Brand Realty, GT Cycle, Wanda Westover, and the Little Theater, who have done a wonderful job in keeping our Owen Sound Little Theater and the Roxy going all these years, and a great tribute to them. So we have our next guest, and my friend, Vicki Thompson from the Gray County Master Gardeners, and Vicki is a volunteer, and last spring, she did an amazing job, and we did a little home visit and planting some of my gardens, and we're really revving up for this spring. So thank you so much, Vicki, and welcome to the show, because the Master Gardeners are not sleeping or hibernating. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, thanks, Mary Jane. Gray County Master Gardeners is, as Mary Jane explained, we are community volunteers who have some extra training in horticulture and gardening, and our role is to support community gardeners and home gardeners with science-based information and advice. And, you know, in pre-COVID times, we would do advice clinics and in-person presentations and all kinds of things like that. And it was great fun to meet people and interact personally. And of course, we're really hoping that that is the way this summer will be, but we'll wait and see. So we always did an in-person seminar in October in Owen Sound, free to the community, and we would have at least 2, sometimes 3 speakers on a specific topic. But of course, we couldn't do that in the last couple of years, so we turned to the Zoom format, as most people are, and we created a series of gardening seminars called the Eco-Responsible Gardener. And we ran 3 seminars last year. We're doing the same this year. They're free to everybody. And we'll give you the contact information, how to register. The idea around the eco-responsible gardener is a recognition that, you know, our nature is in trouble. There's a decline in habitat for insects and birds. There's a threat to our native plants related to climate change and other stresses. And so we as gardeners are sort of evolving to think of our gardens as part of nature, to think of our gardens as connected to nature, as supporting nature in any way we can. So we coined the term the eco-responsible gardener to convey the idea that what we do in our gardens is important to support nature. And of course, there are gardening practices that are not supportive that we talk about as well. So our series this year started in January. We had one speaker, Sean James, who talked about how to manage excessive water on our properties, because as you know, with climate change, we're seeing all kinds of shifts in the weather. We're getting a lot of more downpours and some periods of drought. So he talked about environmentally responsible ways of managing those types of rainfall, which was great fun. And so our next topic is gardening with for native creatures. And that's going to be held on February 24th. And we have the poster to show you. And Laura is owner of a nursery, and she is also an environmentalist, and her great interest in that field, in the horticultural field, is creating gardens that welcome different kinds of animals, in which mostly birds and insects, but she will also talk about small mammals and reptiles and things like that. She's not going to welcome large mammals, so don't worry. No deer, no bears, nothing like that. So she's going to be presenting that on February 24th. And as I said, it's free for anybody to join. And it should be very interesting. She's passionate about what she does, and she's a local person, not directly in our area, but in Southern Ontario. So she comes from our habitat and understands our natural world. So, and then we have a third seminar, which we will start advertising a bit more in the next few weeks at the end of March, given by Paul Zamet, who is a horticultural expert teacher, has been at the RBG, the Royal Botanical Garden in Hamilton, for years. I believe he's now retired and does mostly this kind of teaching as his job. But he's going to talk about garden design with native plants, which will be really interesting, I think, because we're all trying to get more native plants into our gardens. And how do we do that in a way that is aesthetically pleasing is a challenge sometimes. So he's going to be talking about that at the end of March. So that information will be on our website, greycountymastergardeners.com, and you're welcome to look that up. Shortly, we'll have more information about that one. In the meantime, you can certainly go to our website to sign on for the presentation that's happening on February 24th. Or sorry, I might have got that wrong because it's not in front of me. It's the 26th.
I have the 20 Saturday.
Thank you. Yes. Saturday the 26th. I knew it was a Saturday.
On my calendar, because I'm registered for it. So it's Saturday, February the 26th from 11 a.m. to 12:30.
Right. I'm mixed up because the next one I'm going to tell you about is on the 24th. So sorry about that.
Well, that's okay. You know, we roll with whatever. So
yes.
It is the 26th.
I thought I would be looking at the poster. Anyway, that's okay. So, I will tell you about our next presentation if you would like me to. It's on March 24th. I know that for sure. Thursday evening, Thursday, March 24th. And it's different. It's through the Grey Agricultural Services, Grey County Agricultural Services program. Every spring, they do a lot of courses in all kinds of topics related to agriculture and horticulture. And Master Gardeners have done a presentation course for that for them for the last few years. So this year we're doing something a bit different. We're going to do a workshop, and it's presented by us, three of our group, and it's going to be called "How to Have the Garden You Want." And so we're going to provide a handbook with some little exercises to do, and we're going to go through these exercises to determine what you want, what are your dreams, what are your aspirations to create a certain type of garden. We're going to talk about how to get there, and we're going to give some practical information and some interesting exercises as we go through it. So it'll be kind of different, and we will I think kind of fun. We're going to be doing it again through Zoom, but we will be sending out a PDF probably of an exercise book that you will get prior to the presentation, so you can follow along with it and do the exercises as we go. By exercises, I just mean we'll ask you to think about what you want and things like that. That there's a bit of a charge for. It's $15, and that money goes to Grey Agricultural Services to support their education practices. So the money doesn't go to Master Gardeners, it goes to them to support their education process, because they do all kinds of different things for the community, particularly the agricultural community. So that's also the poster is available that we'll be showing in this segment. But to register for that, you can go to our website and see the poster, but you go to the Grey Agricultural Services website and register directly with Emily at Grey Ag Services. So that'll be a bit of a different thing to do, and I think it's going to be fun. So that's what we got in the works right now. Yeah, we have other presentations we have other presentations on our website that we do for gardening groups, library groups, that are, again, we present for free or for a small donation, and those are also available to the community. We have a few of those running for some of the gardening groups this spring as well.
Well, that's quite an agenda. And when I said that you were not hibernating, that it was really very active in terms of what's coming up. And I think that through the pandemic, people have turned to gardening as an outlet. And as I found out, particularly last spring, when I was planning on doing some redesigning, is that the nurseries were just overwhelmed with requests, and some of the plants they couldn't get enough of. The supply was just not able to keep up with the demand. So I think that if people are thinking about their gardens again this year, they need to be connecting very early on and purchasing whatever they are wanting for their gardens. As soon as the plants start coming out into the retail areas and to the local garden centers and that sort of thing, in order to meet their needs. There is one thing that I learned last year from some of the seminars that I tuned into through Grey County Master Gardeners, is that there are some products that are used to pesticides, I guess, on products that are used that are not as eco-friendly. And so now I ask if that product is being used on the plants, and then I will choose not to purchase them, but to go to the natural and more eco-friendly alternatives.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, Mary Jane. You're absolutely right there. Of course, from a legal point of view, in Ontario, it is illegal to use pesticides on ornamental gardens, except for some larger institutional types of gardens. There's laws against our use in our home gardens because I think that we were just overusing them. So you can still buy things like Roundup, but you have to have a different purpose for it. It is not to be used just for ornamental things. It's to be used for things like poison ivy, other types of noxious weeds. For that, we're allowed to purchase it, but we should not be using it for making our gardens look prettier. That is not what we want to do. The thing about pesticides is, even though they may be for a specific insect or fungus or something, they kill everything. They kill every insect in the general area where they're applied, and so we're killing a lot of our beneficial insects too, and we don't want to be doing that. So even the organic and the safe pesticides do that. So for example, when you're using insecticidal soap, it's much better to use that, of course, but it'll kill every bug on your plant. So we have to be really thoughtful about how we use these products and when we use them, and think about other ways of managing these problems so we don't accidentally make it worse.
Well, one of the things that we've been doing on our driveway just to keep the weeds down is vinegar, soap, and salt. Yeah. So every time I walk down my driveway, I have this overwhelming urge for French fries.
Yes. Well, it's a win-win then, isn't it?
So I'm thinking that with Laura Thompson, she's from A Hidden Habitat, but she's going to be talking about some design principles. And I thought that her seminar really fits in with our property in terms of what is important is that what we plant can survive on its own, because we're on well water, and we only use our well water very sparingly and never on grass. So it's really important to have plants and to understand how the plants are going to manage through drought, which we have been experiencing more here in the area I'm in, as opposed to floods or excess water.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to her seminar, because using as many native plants to our specific area helps the growth and the natural environment, as opposed to a cultured garden that might be better suited in a city house.
You're absolutely right, and we totally support and encourage the use of native plants. And ecologists are saying we should be shifting to having native plants in our home gardens to the point of about 70% native plants, 30% those old, lovely traditional perennials that we all love, but don't happen to be native. And the reason is that our native plants, not only they're beautiful, but they support our native insects. And our native insects support our native birds and other animals. So it's all linked, obviously. So absolutely, I'm so glad you're aware of that. We should definitely be learning more about native plants, planting as many as we can. And even if you just plant one or two in your garden, you'll see the insects arrive, the pollinators, the butterflies. It's really interesting to watch. Once you get a few native plants in your garden, you'll see types of insects that you've never seen before that are very, very interesting to watch. Well, we should have a whole topic just on that.
Yes. But I love to see the butterflies, and even though I am so allergic to bees and I have to be really, really careful when I'm out gardening, but I still want that natural wildlife. I want to see butterflies and bees and insects coming in, because we really need to have a sustainable ecosystem.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And when you have plants that attract different types of insects, you're going to attract all kinds of different kinds of birds, because birds eat insects. So it's a win-win kind of situation.
It is. And Vicki, thank you so much for talking to us about all the information that is coming up through Grey County Master Gardeners. And we really encourage our viewers to go on the website and register for all those interesting events that are coming up. It's really important that we take care of our environment. And our environment, for most of us, is just the land that we're living on in our immediate area. And we can all do our part with that.
Great. Thanks,
thank you very much. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime. Take care.
And please stay tuned, because coming up is our adorable Adoptables.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. You could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Gavin Bryant, centerman with the Owen Sound Attack. Catch great OHL action on Rogers TV as we bring you Owen Sound Attack games live, both home and away.
Welcome back to the segment of Adorable Adoptables. And we have Renee here with us. And even though it's maybe hard to see, she has a beautiful black cat. Look at those eyes peering out at us. And sometimes when he turns his head, he just blends right into Renee. And so, Renee, who do we have here today?
Well, this little fella is a 5-month-old neutered male kitten. And unfortunately, it is his color that makes him still with us at the animal shelter. His name is Boy. Boy was from a litter of cats, we'll call them older kittens, whose owners surrendered them to us. And to be honest, those cats were named things like the brown one, the boy, the girl. And so something tells me they've had a few cats. So Boy, for lack of knowing what else to call him, is with us and has been with us a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, we always blamed black cat adoptions on being so slow by superstition. We also blamed it on the fact that they didn't stand out particularly well. As you can see, he blends quite easily into really anything dark. But the way the world is here at the animal shelter these days is that they are posted online and then appointments are made. And then people come and meet them and fall in love with them and take them home. So we really can't blame it on the fact that he blends into the background because, I mean, we posted him on a big colorful blanket. So we're not really sure if people are just superstitious or if it's just he's a little shy and people are a little worried about that. But he's a 5-month-old fixed kitten. So we're really recommending that people give him another look. As you know, our cats at the shelter are spayed and neutered before they go home. And most people don't know that we don't do little tiny babies. Some shelters do, and we don't. So when I say that, and the reason I'm mentioning that is that if you are looking for a kitten and you are looking for something spayed or neutered, this is pretty close to as young as you're going to get at the shelter. We may go a little younger, and I'm sorry, buddy, to put it this way, but I'll plug your ears. We use the development of the cat to determine when the time is. Black cats often have smaller boy parts. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings about that. So we find that we have to do them a little bit older, and it's a weird thing to know, and now the whole world knows. You're welcome. So in his case, he was done at 5 months rather than 4 months. And if you're looking for a black kitten, it is unlikely you will get something fixed that is any younger. I mean, the whole things you can learn on this show. He is neutered. He has his vaccines. He is litter trained. He has been a house cat. He is good with cats. He loves cats. He's been in a multi-cat home. He's purring right now. He looks like he's making a grumpy face. It's because you're leaning on my hand. It's not the best way. There we are. But he is purring. He is quite content to sit here. He is good with older children, but he could be fine with younger children. He's just going to be afraid of them because he's a little nervous. He's never met them. In a patient home, he'll fit really just about anywhere. He's a great guy, and he's purring up a storm, aren't you? Hey, can they see your eyes? There you are. There you are.
Well, I think he needs a name that's more reflective. And the first thing that came into my mind when I saw him was Gorgeous George.
Ah, perfect. Gorgeous George it is.
Well, I just think that sometimes when we look at a black cat, we don't see the beauty behind it. As you said, people look towards the superstition. But when I looked at him, the first thing I thought of was Gorgeous George.
Oh, Gorgeous George. That could be your name. What do you think? I think he likes it. Gorgeous George it is. Now you've named him. He's yours.
Oh, I know you're working on me, Renee, but it's not going to work today.
Not today. Sorry, Gorgeous George. Not today.
But I do need to check in about Ruby. How is Ruby doing?
Ruby has gone home.
Oh.
She got adopted, and it's fantastic. She's already been sending me pictures and updates. Life is good for Ruby. So we're back at 100%, which is amazing. So hopefully Gorgeous George will go before next week and we'll still be at 100. It's fantastic.
Oh, well, it's always important to me that I check in with the animal that we've seen the week before, because I do think about them through the week in terms of how they're doing. And I think that I'm hoping our viewers are doing the same, because if they're being adopted right away, then there's a lot of folks out there who are just have great hearts for animals.
Absolutely. The best thing about it, I mean, we all like good news, right? And I mean, nobody has to worry about anything bad happening to them. It's going to be okay no matter what. And I love being able to share that they've gone home, because it makes us all happy. They needed to get a little helping hand and they got it. And hey, that's great for all of us. Right. Right.
Well, he's looking very comfortable and is enjoying being cuddled and just being nurtured.
Yeah, he's doing quite all right here. I mean, it doesn't mean we want him to stay, but he's doing quite all right.
So how are other things at the shelter now? Because I do know that they're talking about opening things up a little bit more through the COVID restrictions. And how does that affect your shelter?
Well, we're not sure. We're still figuring it out. We very much have enjoyed adoptions by appointment only, and we're hoping to keep that. We really enjoy that we can take the time to talk to people and match them with the right pet and make the right connections. Things before were a little bit of a free-for-all. I mean, you walked in, you saw the one you wanted, you took them for a walk, you fell in love, you took them home, which was fine, but we always spent the rest of our day wondering how things were really going to be. And additionally, we had some returns. We had people who made spur of the moment decisions. We were sure busy around Christmas and people's birthdays and special events. It would be ideal for us if we can continue to do that by appointment. So we're considering having a bigger reception area so that people can come in and stay there as opposed to wander throughout the building. I mean, and if we can do that, we're going to be super happy. We used to be open quite long hours, 1 until 7 at night, and that may continue again. Again, appointments will be based on who you're adopting and when you're coming and that sort of thing. Although it will be nice for people to pop in from time to time. Very much looking forward to having our volunteers come back in and to be able to spend time with the animals, cuddling and walking dogs. I mean, although I'm going to miss doing that myself, I got other things I could be doing, so it's all okay. I mean, we love to see people happy, and that's a big part of what we do, and I'm looking forward to having that happen again.
Well, we are too, and thank you so much, Renee, for dropping in with your adorable adoptables. And please join us next week for Grey County Life at Home.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. Life has changed for all of us during the pandemic, and many people are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope. Even though